Alright, so this is a redo of part 4 of What If Female Deku was the daughter of scp-001 because the last part got age restricted. So I'm going to be redoing it, and this one will be a bit different. So if you've seen the first part, then you're more than if you've seen the original part 4, then you're more than welcome to stay. But for those of you who haven't seen it, welcome and enjoy. So we'll begin with Izumi arriving at UA as they would begin the Heroes vs. Villains training, as they'd be wondering who will be teaching them for the Heroes vs. Villains training, as All Might would be, as they'd hear a banging coming from the hallway, as All Might would burst through the door, yelling, "I am here," coming through the door like a normal person. As everyone would be surprised to find out that All Might would be teaching them. As All Might would then give a speech, as he would then say, then he would bring out their hero costumes, as Izumi's hero costume looks like the picture that you see. As we then get to the Hero vs. Villains training, as Izumi would be paired up with Shoto, and Bakugo is paired up with Ida. As Bakugo and Ida head into the building to place down the prop, Izumi and Shoto begin to start planning, as it then gets to the point where Shoto's plan is just as it was in canon, as they'd both walk in, as Shoto would begin to freeze the ground. Now, Izumi is basically immune to this because it can't really touch her, as the ice would trap Bakugo. Actually, no, just trap Ida, as Bakugo would manage to avoid it. As Izumi and Todoroki would realize that Bakugo has not been captured by it, so they'll need to be extra cautious. As Izumi says that she should go in front, since if Bakugo attacks them, she'll be able to take the damage, while Shoto goes and gets the bomb. As Shoto would agree to this, with them headed towards the prop, as Ida and Bakugo would be as Bakugo would round the corner, and just as Izumi predicted, they would try to attack them, with Izumi basically flapping her wings, sending Bakugo back a bit. As Bakugo is wondering how did she know that he was going to come around that corner. As when Bakugo runs up to her, Izumi uses her command ability as she tells Bakugo to stop. As Bakugo stops in his place, as she would say, "Put this capture tape around you and forget." As Bakugo would begin to wrap his wrists in the capture tape, as he would immediately forget that, as he was wondering, as Izumi and Shoto would then move up to Ida, as they would capture him as well, as All Might would say that the hero team had won. As Bakugo, as they would then deliberate on who the MVP of that match was, as they would all decide that it was Izumi who was the MVP, due to her using the abilities that she had to a large extent. As All Might would say, that's right. Heroes will need to use all their abilities that their quirks provide to the extent that they would need in order to accomplish a mission. As we then get to the USJ incident, as they would begin to ask about their quirks, as Izumi says that she doesn't really want to talk about her quirk at this moment. As they would arrive at the USJ, as the Pro Hero 13 would begin to talk about how quirks can be dangerous and that heroes will need to be careful when using them. As Kirishima would look down, as he would say, "Wow, you guys even have fake villains?" As I would say, "Those aren't fake villains, those are real villains. 13 protect the children." As Aizawa would then jump down to deal with the villains, as everybody else was warped away to the areas they were in canon. So Izumi is currently on the boat area with Mineta and Sue, as they all come up with a plan to get away. As they all manage to get off the boat with Izumi, sort of like using her command ability on all the villains, as she tells them to leave the USJ and forget. As they would then leave, they would all get out of the water and walk away and leave the USJ and forget that they were a part of the League of Villains and went on to do their normal thing. As they would make it back to the mainland area, as Aizawa basically got the same treatment from the Nomu as he did in canon. As Shigaraki notices them at the edge of the water, as he would go and try to use his quirk on Sue, which, as in canon, didn't work because Aizawa used his quirk on Shigaraki. As Izumi then jumps out of the water and tries and uses her command on Shigaraki, as the Nomu would end up grabbing her by her mouth and stopping her from speaking. As she is like struggling to get the Nomu get herself free from the Nomu's grip, as the door to the USJ would bust down, as All Might would announce that he is here, as he would then fight the Nomu. As this fight goes about as it did in canon, with All Might doing the 300 mighty blows thing, as he then sends the Nomu into the sky, as he would then say say the same thing as he did in canon, saying, back in my heyday, only 3 hits would have done it. As he'd then say, but today it took more than 300 mighty blows. As Shigaraki would begin to scratch his neck, as he'd say, no, 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 you cheated, you cheated, you cheated. As just as Shigaraki was about to attack All Might, the ceiling comes down as Mobile Task Force Alpha 1 and Mobile Task Force Epsilon 11, the Red Right Hand, and Ninetail Fox respectively, come down from the ceiling, as Kurogiri then warps both him and Shigaraki away, as the task force would say into their radio, SCP-001-3 have been located, awaiting further orders, as 05-1 and Dr. Clef would say restrain her using the reality anchor, as the reality anchor would be sent towards Izumi, as she would be trapped and contained by it. And that is where I'm going to leave this part off. I do hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully this one will get age restricted. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you all next time.